Hey guys, ST here. So it's that time of the week again. It's time for our weekly Game of Thrones recap. And yeah, so we had a lot going on tonight. I'm going to do my best to sum it all up for you. That way you don't have to watch it yourself, although I do highly advise going and watching it yourself because there's just the finer nuances that you don't get a hold of. Anyhow, got my notes. I'm ready to go. Are you ready? Strap in, let's go. We're going to start with the fact that there was, again, no cold open. I've used that term a couple of times now. For those of you who don't know what cold open is, that just means stuff that happens before the credits start at the very beginning of the show. Because it just throws you straight into it cold. You don't have any warm up. That's why they call it a cold open. So we go straight to the credits. And then after the credits, we are once again coming out of water. Which I think means that every episode except one this season has started with water. Not entirely sure. I think I forgot to check if the premiere started with water or not. Is this meaningful? I don't know, but it's something I should probably mention. Start with water. Bronn is pulling Jaime out of the river. Because if you remember from last week, somebody knocked Jaime off his horse so that he wouldn't get hit by a giant fireball from a dragon. And it turned out to be Bronn. Big surprise there. I know. I'm shocked. Are you shocked? I hope you're not shocked. Anyhow, so he pulls him out of the water, and Jaime's just kind of, trying to figure out what the hell just happened. And Bronn starts telling him, I don't know what the hell you were thinking. You're a dumbass. You still owe me stuff. No one gets to kill you but me until you give me what I am owed. Dragon doesn't get to kill you. You don't get to kill you. I get to kill you. Which I really enjoyed that particular line of thought. But, so yeah, they discussed what had happened a little bit about, dragons coming in and basically annihilating everybody. And how did they think they could possibly fight against dragons? They need to go back and tell Cersei, dude, we're screwed. This is not gonna end well if we continue this. So, then we cut to Daenerys, who is rounding up all the survivors. And she basically tells all the survivors of, the Lannister army, your choice is to bend the knee to me or die. Those are your options. Bend the knee to me or die. So, of course, a couple of them bend the knee. And then her dragon roars a bit, and a lot more of them bend the knee because, she's got a dragon. However, of course, Sir Tarly, Tarly Elder, Father Tarly, douchebag of the year, who I don't like because he's mean to Sam. But anyway, he refuses to bend the knee. And his son also refuses to bend the knee. And Tyrion attempts to talk them into, seeing reason. Because, hey, this... Do you guys really want your entire family to be annihilated? Because everyone's forgotten about Sam existing, apparently. But, oh no, that's right, because Sam took the black, so technically he can't take on his family's name. But anyway, do you want your entire family wiped out? You've already changed alliances once, because remember they were with the Highgarden folks, and then they turned against them, the Tyrells. They turned against them to join up with Cersei. You've already switched over sides a couple of times now. Why don't you just do it again? And they're still not buying it. They're like, no, we'll not bend the knee. So Daenerys burns him alive with her dragon, as an example to everyone else. And after that, everybody in the group bends the knee, because who wants to be roasted alive by a dragon? Nobody. It's kind of sad, because I kind of sort of liked the older son, because, he wasn't... He was kind of nice. He wasn't a douchebag like his father. I guess you just have to reach a certain age to get to be that douchey. Whatever. So then we cut to Jaime and Cersei, and Jaime's attempting to explain to her how bad the whole thing was, and she's like, yeah, whatever. And then he points out that I think her name was Olenna, the, matron, the grandma of Highgarden, that she confessed to having killed Joffrey, and Cersei's not really buying that either. But, yeah, Jamie's like, no, she totally did it. She didn't have to tell me that, but think about it. If you were a grandmother, who would you want your granddaughter to marry? Joffrey or Tommen? Who do you think you'd have better control over? Who would be the better one to be married to? So I think he finally got through to Cersei on that. And then we cut to Daenerys returning on her dragon, the one that she rode into battle, which is apparently fine. The little harpoon didn't do much. Yeah, Jamie said something about we need to work on those harpoons too, which, like I said, it's a wooden ballista tool. You need to make it when you're using something against dragons, don't make it quite so flammable. But anyway, so Daenerys lands with her dragon, and Jon's hanging out on the cliffs, and she lands her dragon right next to Jon. I don't know what she was going for. Maybe just make him pee his pants or want to talk to him or something. I don't know. But Jon stands his ground as the dragon approaches him and takes off his glove and reaches out to touch the dragon, who lets him do it because dragon knows he's a Targaryen. Haha. Which I know it's not like officially confirmed yet, but we're getting to that. So then Daenerys gets off the dragon, and she sends the dragon flying off so she and Jon have a chat. And, they chat a little bit about how great are dragons. They're great, huh? And then she tries to ask about the whole knife to the heart bit that, Onion Knight accidentally blurted out. And Jon's like, he just exaggerates too much. And so Daenerys is trying to go, so that didn't really happen. But of course, before they could say anything else, Jorah arrives. The guy who had the grayscale and got cured of the grayscale by peeling it all off. He arrives and interrupts a very important Dany Jon moment because, of course, he's got to cockblock everybody who tries to get close to Dany. He comes up and he's all, my queen, and bows to her. He's ready to serve her again. So then we cut to a bunch of crows flying through the air with Bran. He's, mind following with the crows, and he's watching where they fly, and they fly over the big old army of the dead, which is rapidly approaching. And just as he's starting to figure out, where they're all going, what they're all up to, the Night King looks up and he breaks connection. And he sends out ravens to everybody saying, the dead is marching, we're boned, you need to do something about it now. They're heading towards this particular castle here on the end, or something. I think that's what he said. And of course, the Maesters, when they get there, they're up in the Citadel and they get that message, they're like, that's crazy. Crazy talk from a crippled kid who talks to ravens, That's not going to happen. And Sam's getting a little mad with them because he's like, dudes, I keep telling you, this is real, this is happening. All you have to do is tell everyone this is real, this is happening, and they'll take care of it. And one of the Maester's like, yeah, but this could totally be a trick on the Dragon Lady's part to try and get us to send all of our men up north, and then she'll just swoop in and, take over the south. Which really pisses Sam off. So he goes back to his room. Oh, no. Okay, I gotta skip that part. He'll go back to his room later, because another scene happens first. It's Tyrion and Varys versus Spider Guy. I'm terrible with these names, guys. Weird syllables, and people have similar names and whatever. So they're sitting there, they're drinking, they're chatting, and Tyrion's kind of upset because he wasn't able to talk Daenerys out of roasting the two Tarleys alive. And Spider Guy is like, yeah, I kind of felt the same way when her dad was murdering people left, right, and center. You basically just have to find a way to get her to not roast people alive. That's what you gotta do. It's like, good chat. Thanks for the advice, dude. Was not figuring that. So then we cut to the Daenerys army chat group where they're all hanging out, talking about things to do. And they've gotten the missive about the dead marching, and Jon's like, okay, well, we kind of need everyone to get together now. We can't be fighting down here. I think it was Tyrion who had the idea of getting Cersei to help fight. Help fight the dead. And Jon's like, hey, we'll bring her a dead guy. We'll totally bring a dead. We'll capture a dead guy, or maybe it was Varys who said, "Grab a dead guy and take it to Cersei." Whoever it was, someone has the bright idea to grab a dead guy and take it to Cersei to prove, yeah, the dead are really real. And they all agree. Okay, I guess that's the best course of action. We'll take dude here. Tyrion's gonna go with Onion Knight to try to get Jaime to convince Cersei to talk to them so they can bring the dead guy to her and show her their proof without just slaughtering them immediately. And Jon's preparing to go north of the wall, which of course no one's going to think that's a great idea. Because then we cut to Sansa having her little group in Winterfell, and the guys are like, yeah, so we want our king here. We don't want our king anywhere but here. We should have picked a different king. We probably should have picked you. Talking to Sansa, and Sansa's like, yes, well, I appreciate that, but Jon's just doing what he thinks right. Which Arya doesn't like at all. Arya thinks that's kind of, because she's not standing up for their brother's decision, she's selling him out in a way. But Sansa's just like, well, I have to be nice to them because we all still have to work together, and even, to fight the army of the dead, we have to work together, and to fight Cersei, we have to work together. And Arya's like, yeah, whatever, you're just gearing yourself up to be queen. And at this point in time, I'm sitting here like, pretty sure Littlefinger's up to something. He's got something, someone's doing something, something's going on. So then we cut to Onion Knight is smuggling Tyrion into the city. They get a boat, they park it out on the beach. He tells Tyrion, you go do your thing, I'm gonna go do my thing, I got something I gotta do. So they separate ways, leave the boat on the ocean shore. Then cut to Bronn, who's got Jaime, and Bronn's telling him, look, we need to go train because we got, fighting these Dothraki, we definitely need to be in fighting form. You suck like a mofo. You could probably fight a Dothraki 12-year-old at your current thing. And Jaime's just like, I don't understand why we need to come, why you wanted to train down here. And Bronn says, that's because you're not training against me. And he turns around and there's Tyrion, which of course Jaime's all pissed off because he told Tyrion, I will kill you if I ever see you again. I think cut you in half was the exact words that he'd used. Because Tyrion did kill their father. Gotta give him that much. So they have a little bit of back and forth about the whole killing your father, well, he never loved me, and whatever. Ooh, sorry. Ooh. That whole shenanigan about that, until finally Jaime's just like, just get to the point, why are you here? And Tyrion's got to convince him, to get Cersei to speak to Daenerys. We don't want to surrender, we want an alliance, I guess, is what they were going for. And then we cut to the... more important request. Then we cut to Onion Knight, who's down in the metalworking district of King's Landing. And he walks in, and who does he find in a blacksmith's hut but Gendry! Onion Knight makes a very wink, wink, wink to the audience joke about, I thought you'd still be rowing. But Gendry's been hiding out in King's Landing just making weapons and stuff all this time. All this time we saw him row away and then never saw him again. He's back. He's here. He's just making weapons. And so Onion Knight's like, okay, I'm going to try and talk you into Davos. That's his name. Davos. Davos is like, I'm going to try and talk you into coming with me. And Gendry's like, nope, I'm ready. Onion Knight, Davos is like, you sure? I haven't even told you. He's like, I don't care, what am I doing here? I'm not doing anything I like doing, helping the people who killed my father. Come on. And Davos tells him, well, grab a sword. And Gendry's like, nah. Grabs his big old battle hammer off the wall. He's like, this is my weapon. So they head out. They get down to the, to where they park the boat. First is Gendry and Davos gets down to where they park the boat. And they're starting to load up, and Gendry's very, very noticeable warhammer is sitting in the boat when two guards walk up. And Davos goes and does his little smuggler magic of, bribing them because he knows all the bribery things. And when they want to see what's in the boat, he goes over and he quickly flips the tarp that's over all of the stuff like that was actually in the boat. He flips it over the hammer so you can't see the hammer anymore, and shows us, it's fermented crab. How do you have some fermented crab? And he makes him eat some fermented crab, and he's like, oh yeah, just enjoy that fermented crab. And just as they're leaving, here comes Tyrion walking down the mountain face, just do. And I have this moment of, really, Tyrion, you didn't notice two dudes standing out by the boat with your other dudes just having a chat? You couldn't have lurked a little bit, hung back? I mean, if I were as recognizable as Tyrion is, I would have peeked before I went out in the open. I don't know. I guess, we just needed some drama in here. So Tyrion walks right past them. They're like, hey, wait. That's a dwarf with a scar on his face and kind of dirty blonde hair, that could be. So just as they're starting to figure out that, hey, you're someone that Cersei wants, and no, Davos, you can't bribe us any more than Cersei's going to pay, that's when Gendry gets out the warhammer and just whack, takes out the two guys. No problem. Yeah, Gendry can definitely handle himself. So, okay, I'm trying to decipher some of my handwriting here. I don't. This looks like Gusharin? I don't know. It says Cersei knew. Because Jaime goes to tell Cersei about his meeting with Tyrion and, how that went, and how Tyrion, says that the queen wants an armistice so that they can, fight this army to the north, the army of the dead or whatever. And Cersei's just like, yeah, so you can punish Bronn? Because Bronn set all that up without even consulting you, so what you gonna do? And Jaime's like, ooh, man, how'd you know about that? And Cersei's like, nothing happens that I don't know about. And then she says some other stuff, and I think, because at this point, the words got kind of, like, she was just muttering, and I don't know, sometimes I kind of tune Cersei out, because she gripes about things, and whatever, but I think she told Jaime that she's pregnant again. Pretty sure that's what she said. And so Jaime's like, who are you going to say the father is? And she's like, you. Well, who else am I going to say who the father is? And he goes, oh, the people aren't going to like that. And so she says, well, what did father always say about the people? And Jaime's like, okay. Lions do not care what the sheep think. So basically, incest is in now. Hey, it's open. The queen doesn't care that everyone knows she's boning her brother. Which I guess is a callback to the whole Targaryen thing, because they boned each other all the time. So we've only had about 20, 30 years of non-Targaryen sibling boning. So, alright. So then we cut to where Davos is bringing Gendry in. And he's telling Gendry, look, don't tell Jon about, the fact that you're Baratheon's son. Don't tell him about all that. That, he's got bigger fish on his mind to fry, so we don't need to get into that. And Gendry's like, yeah, sure. So they get up to Jon, and Davos is like, hey, this is Gendry, my friend Gendry. And Gendry's like, yeah, hi, I'm Robert Baratheon's son. Cersei tried to have me killed. How you doing? And Davos is just like, motherfucker, you people, you're gonna just, all you. What he literally says, what do I know? I just lived to a ripe old age. So Gendry and Jon talk a bit about their dads, and they hit it off. Like they're getting along great. This is going to be good, because their dads were best friends. Wait, did I? Oh, okay. I had remembered something that I was like, wait, did I skip over that? No, I didn't skip it. It's coming up. So they exchange some fun moments, and they're going to be fine, the two of them. And then they're like, okay, well, there's just us going. We got to head up to, this other place. We're leaving Dragonstone. Dragonstone? Yeah, Dragonstone. We're going to leave Dragonstone and go to this other place where the dead are heading, so we can go up there and catch a deadie and take it back to prove to Cersei and the rest of the world that the dead are real. So while they're doing that, Tyrion kind of sidles up the drawer and he's like, hey, yeah, glad you're back. No one can glower like you. So, hey, you remember this coin here the slavers gave me, and when I negotiated our freedom and bought our freedom or whatever. Here, you take it, and you can bring it back to me. So, no one's ever going to see that coin again. Or at least, no one's going to see Jorah giving Tyrion that coin. It's going to get passed on some other way. And then they all, because Jorah offered to go up north with Jon as a sign of faith to bring the Deady back. And Tyrion's not going. Onion Knight is going. And Jon's going. And Gendry's going. Because Gendry's like, what else do I have to do? I got my hammer. Good to go. So then we cut to Sam and his lady friend, whose name I cannot remember. And Sam's doing whatever writing he's doing, and lady friend's reading out random facts about the Citadel in a book, talking about, there's like 16,000 some odd steps in the Citadel, and then there's like all these windows in the Citadel, and this guy, he kept track of so many things. He even kept track of his bowel movements. And you can just tell Sam's like really not having any of this. He's like not in the mood for listening to these random facts. And then she starts talking about how he even kept track of how there was one time, or she asked him what an annulment is. So he says it's when a man sets aside his lawful wife. So she's like, that's interesting, because there was this one time when this particular guy who wrote this book did an annulment for Rhaegar Targaryen to do a wedding in secret to, and before she gets it out, because you know she's about to say, what was Alana Stark? Whatever Ned Stark's sister was, she's about to say that name. Sam interrupts her because he is just so mad, and he's had it, and that's it. And my mom and I are just like, we're this close to having official confirmation. The writers are dicking with us now. They're totally dicking with us. Yeah, whatever. Okay. So he's mad. He was storming off, and he steals a bunch of scrolls and stuff from the Citadel library, and then he gathers his lady friend and her kid into a wagon, and they all ride away. That close. Seriously. If he had just let her finish the sentence, we would know for sure. And he would go, wait a minute, Stark, that's... Yeah, he would have made the connection immediately, and we'd be one step closer to the Dany and Jon weird Targaryen incest thing going on there. Because once it's confirmed, it'll be he is her nephew and whatever. So then we cut to Arya noticing that Littlefinger is creeping around. He's talking to ladies in waiting, and he's talking to the lords of the keep. And remember how I said earlier that I had this inkling that Littlefinger was behind all this, Sansa Stark stuff? Yeah. So he's definitely creeping around. And then she watches as he's heading into his locked bedroom. And as he's heading in there, someone stops him and gives him a tiny little scroll, and he's like, "You're sure this is the only copy in all the Winterfell?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Lady Sansa appreciates your service." And he leaves. He goes into his room, and he comes back out. So Arya picks the lock to the room and goes in there and searches all over the place and comes up with, there's a hole in the mattress, and pulls a little scroll out, and she opens it up. Now, I couldn't read what was on this scroll because it was written in like weird lettering. I don't know if it was actually a different language or if just the lettering was so weird that it, was that bad. But anyway, so she rolled it back up, and I looked at my mom. My mom couldn't understand it either. But I tried to look it up online. No one else was saying anything about it online. I'm about to knock this shelving unit over. I need to stop touching that. Anyway, so I don't know what was in the scroll. But she rolls it up, and she takes it with her, and she locks the door back up, and she heads off. As she's heading off, we see lurking in the corner Littlefinger watching her leave his room. So we don't know if he just knows she got the scroll, and he's going to double back and do some other stuff to negate whatever was about to happen there, or if he set that whole thing up because he knew she was watching him to begin with. Which, if he knew she was watching him to begin with, I'm going to call shenanigans, because she's been specially trained by no one. And yeah, she can lurk in the shadows pretty good. So Yeah. So John and his group get up to the north, and they're talking with Big Red, the guy who has the hots for Brienne. And they're like, okay, we're going to go up there. Davos is going to stay behind because he's just a liability. And they're like, okay, so we don't really have anyone to come up there with us. And someone's like, oh, wait, no, we got a couple. Down in the jail cell, we've got the Hound, the Red Priest, and I feel kind of robbed because segueing real back far into the books, which I didn't finish reading all of them, but the Red Priest was supposed to have brought Catelyn Stark back. That hasn't happened, so I'm kind of upset about that. I'm mad that he's around, but Catelyn isn't. Anyway, so it's the Red Priest and a couple of their other dudes in the Hound, and of course Gendry is like, nah, they tried to sell me to the Red Witch so that she could sacrifice me. We can't trust them. And a couple other people are like, no, we can't trust them. And so finally John's like, no, we're all on the same side. He's like, how do we know we're all on the same side? Because we're breathing. Basically, John's of the mind right now that I don't care who's fighting who or who did what to who. The dead are the bigger enemy. Let us kill them first, and then we can settle our differences later. So they all go out through the big gate, all of them together, just whoosh, out into the big, wide, open, solid white world with no hats. I swear to God. They're like bundled up in furs and everything else, and not a single one of them is wearing head covering at all. I know it's a TV show and we want to see their faces because that's what we all pay to see, but fade to white, credits up. And that was this week's episode. We've got, by my count, 2 episodes left. So I guess I'll see you guys next week. If you liked, please like, subscribe, follow, comment, ask questions, tell me other shows you want me to watch. And until next time, next week, I will talk to you later. SD out. Bye!